where news comes first. This is WECT News at midday, streaming live on WECT.com and the WECT News app.
Well, good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. I'm Kim Ratcliffe.
And I'm Bob Bonner. We begin with breaking news. Two people considered armed and dangerous are now in custody. Stacy Rogers and Donna Hardin arrested in Duplin County. Rogers wanted by the Wilmington Police Department for the armed robbery of the Waffle House on Carolina Beach Road on Tuesday morning. Now, Donna Brooke Hardin is wanted for active warrants and was with Rogers. You want to keep checking back with WECT News, the mobile app, as well as online at WECT.com for the very latest in these arrests. Also, armed robbery of the Dollar General at 2416 Carolina Beach Road near Medical Center Drive happened earlier this afternoon. We have information on that also on our website. A person entered that Dollar General store and displayed a handgun, ordering the cashier to empty the register, then fled through the front door. That is under investigation.
Also new at noon, a wreck tied up traffic this morning, but everything back to normal now. This two-car crash happened near the intersection of Market Street and Carr Avenue just before 9. Police tell us everyone got out of their vehicles. No word on whether or not anyone got hurt. We have a breaking news update for you on the sheriff's deputy involved in a car wreck this morning. We've learned that deputy right now is in the hospital. In this video from the scene, you can see the deputy rear-ended a school bus. Now, the bus had 2 students from Brunswick County Academy on it. They did not get hurt, neither did the driver. This wreck happened at the intersection of Mount Misery Road and Reed Road in Leland just before 6:15 this morning. We just spoke with a trooper who worked the wreck a few minutes ago. He says the deputy will most likely be charged.
You may have seen the former chief of the Surf City Police Department on national news. Mike Halstead was forced to retire after calling the Black Lives Matter group terrorists on his personal Facebook page. He talked about it recently on Fox and Friends.
When you have a group of people out there calling for the deaths of police officers, I mean, come on, really? I mean, we're risking our lives every day. I did it for 35 years, been injured in the line of duty several times. Why should I put my life on the line? Why should other police officers put their lives on the line if that's how we're going to be treated?
Now, Halstead and town supporters showed up at a city council meeting demanding that he be reinstated, but council stood by their decision.
We should be able to tell you who will head the University of North Carolina school system soon. The Board of Governors is meeting right now and is expected to vote within the next few minutes on a new UNC system president who would replace Thomas Ross. Ross was forced to retire earlier this year. We have just learned the board has recommended former U.S. Education Secretary Margaret Spellings for the job, but this still has to be voted on. Now, a statement issued by the UNC Faculty Assembly says teachers and researchers are upset at not being able to meet and measure the candidates during this selection process. We'll tell you who the new president is as soon as we get the information.
Today, you'll have a chance to learn how to eat a little bit healthier, and you can do it for free. Food Day is a worldwide event that found its way onto the campus of UNCW. Today, you have a chance to learn healthy eating tips from the pros. You can watch some live cook-off demonstrations, meet some of the local farmers. Feast Down East coordinator Justin Brantley says it's important to buy local because he says most of the food from the grocery stores actually come from miles away.
In that transportation, it loses a lot of its nutritional value. So what we try and do is encourage folks to find local foods, and so that way they have more benefit by eating those things with a higher nutritional value.
Now that Food Day wraps up today, 2:30 at UNCW. If they're going to be outside again, it looks like they've got some good skies to be under today.
I'll tell you what, another choice day. This is day 11 in a row. Yes, we're keeping track of rain-free conditions in southeastern North Carolina. Rain chances near 0% for the rest of your Friday. Temperatures, the star of the show under sunshine. There's going to be a window of opportunity when we're closing in on that now of temps getting close to 80, if not a click or two above. Shooting for a high at 80 for most communities this afternoon. Far inland spots like 81 or so. Sunset just after 6 p.m. Enjoy the rays until then. Here's how the temperatures are behaving at the noon hour. Lots of 70s all across the area. Officially at Wilmington Airport, 77. Elizabethtown and Whiteville at 75. There's that 80 we're shooting for today. Now your 5-day temperature trend a little cooler this weekend into next week. But when you take these temperatures in the context of dry weather, rain chances only slowly creeping up as we head into next week. Yes, staying away for your weekend. This is a great scheme for you to get outside and enjoy. And an extra reason to be thankful for our gorgeous weather here at home is when you put it in contrast with the strongest hurricane on record. That would be Patricia in the eastern Pacific. I'm going to take a closer look at this historic storm and have our 7-day forecast for here at home as well. That's coming up in the full segment. Back to you.
Thanks, Gannon. Well, this afternoon, we're getting some new details on the raid to free prisoners of ISIS in Iraq, which led to the first U.S. combat death in this country in 4 years.
Yeah, the American actually who was killed in that is Operation Master Sergeant Joshua Wheeler. He was stationed out of Fort Bragg, and as NBC's Richard Engel reports this afternoon, despite that loss, the mission still was a success.
NBC News has learned new details this morning about the commando raid that rescued about 70 hostages in Iraq. U.S. and allied Kurdish forces took off in 5 helicopters heading to an ISIS prison on the outskirts of the town of Hawija. U.S. officials say the prisoners were about to be executed, mass graves already dug. American forces manned the perimeter. Allied Kurdish fighters stormed in, but met heavy resistance. Then, NBC News has learned one wave of Americans, followed by a second, moved in to help, worried their allies or the hostages would be killed. But ISIS managed to shoot one American commando, described by U.S. officials as selfless and heroic, and whose actions saved lives. He was the first American to die in combat in Iraq in 4 years. And questions are being raised. Why are so-called advisors now involved in close combat?
In that support role, they are allowed to defend themselves and also defend partner forces and to protect against the loss of innocent life. And that's what played out in this particular operation.
U.S. troops have been operating here in Iraq for months on an advise and assist mission. Now some are wondering whether they will be more frequently on the front lines of the war against ISIS. Richard Engel, NBC News, Erbil, northern Iraq.
Former Rhode Island Governor Lincoln Chafee throwing in the towel in his bid to be the Democratic presidential nominee. Earlier today, Chafee told supporters that he decided to end his campaign after much thought. He later made a formal announcement at a women's leadership forum in Washington, D.C. Now, the former Republican was never really a serious factor in the race. Chafee's departure comes just days after former Virginia Senator Jim Webb ended his candidacy. 12:07, we end this what we call the A block. Taking a look at your stocks at this hour. The NASDAQ, the Dow, the S&P, all climbing at noon.